is starting well, like mine. If you can hear my voice, please let me know. Okay, I'm waiting for the presentation to, let me know while you want you give me the presentation control.
You have it now.
Okay, thank you. I hope your day is going well, starting well, like mine. Okay, we'll try to reshare. Just a moment. Looking for Firefox. Let me pause it. Let me know when you can see my screen, please.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Um, so like we said on Thursday, we started with XDR on Thursday. With Coastal Query on Thursday, and we did say that for all of us to move very fast and quickly, that we should spend time to read the rest of the program, while today we just discuss on the technical aspect of it without going through the reading again in details. And also this morning, one challenge I like to throw at us first is if we've started looking at jobs that are available maybe jobs relating to security operations center, or maybe threat engineer, and or maybe defender related job. I see that some people are already sharing some jobs like that on the chat. I'll say kudos to them. uh, but I just want to get a pause. One thing I always do when I'm learning is actually to see the value of what I am learning. Look at the job description or job relating to what I'm training on, and see how well I am learning. And if maybe opportunity like that becomes anytime from then, if I'll be able to latch and take advantage of that opportunity. So first of all, it's just more of an interaction this morning to actually see how well we've covered things, and if we're getting comfortable with maybe jobs relating to Defender or Sentinel. Obviously, I know that we have Sentinel as the last component of this course, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks and at most 3 weeks, we should be able to bring this course to a close. So, but I want to ask first if any one of you have actually looked at maybe Defender or SOC related course, a job role, and if you have looked at those vacancy details and if you are getting comfortable with them. So it's more of an interaction first this morning. So let me know. Anybody can unmute and talk. Has anyone looked at any job in this area?
I have.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I have. But in fact, the reason why I joined this class was because of the vacancies I see here, because I am in Sweden too.
Okay.
In Sweden, we have more of SOC roles. So I've applied to one. I got to the second stage. The third stage was the final stage. Obviously, I didn't know some of the tools, because now the question was now tendering towards you know that question, yeah, I think you sent some time ago. I can't remember which day. Like, it's a question. So what would you do in that? How would you investigate it? Like, what tools would you use in investigating it? So obviously I didn't have good knowledge of that too. That was where I was dropped. But for the networking aspect, it was more like a slide kind of interview. Like, so they would drop like, I'm just giving you a scenario so that in case anybody is planning to go for any interview, so that they are prepared. So they put like 4 things listed on the first slide, so they can say servers and everything. Then you say talk about anything you know on this 4. So yeah, not asking you to come and like teach them, but like technically, what is a server? What does it do? Then like that. So like that, then they move it, then they move it, then they move it. I think it was about 4 slides, but they were like different things like ports, protocols, and all those stuff. So but I realized that when it got to malware analysis, and there was one about if you had a phishing something, it was about that. And it wasn't like the regular kind of question. So obviously I said pass, because I'm not going to go and mess up my waiting, I don't know. But I was happy I did not put that on my CV that I'd done any SOCO. I just said I had networking experience and everything like that. So yeah, but it was good for me. It was an eye opener. So now that's why I'm more into learning the mitigating threats and all those stuff, so that at least in my next interview, maybe I'll do better. Maybe I'll get the job finally. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is like my, I think,
by
third interview.
by God's grace.
So I'm always seen as a learning process, though. Maybe because I'm not really like I need to get the job tomorrow, but I'm looking at it like, yeah, the more interviews you get, the better for you. Like, at least by the time you finally get the one that you're comfortable with, you will not be jittery or scared. Yeah. So I think so. Maybe by the end of this course, I would have better understanding of what to do in those situations. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
But let me just say, in terms of your expectation, how well is this program fulfilling those expectations? And this can also be more of a feedback for us as well. Maybe for me personally, just to ensure that this is tailored maybe for the rest of the program. If there are things I can improve on as well, I think it's good to mention it.
Are you asking me to give you my own, or just for everybody generally?
I think for you, in terms of your expectation,
Okay,
how
for
well are your
me,
expectations being met? And also, are there feedback also maybe for us or maybe for me, who is the facilitator as well?
actually, for me, it has been an eye opener, because how do I say it? Like I said, if maybe I had this knowledge prior now, maybe I would have gotten the job, because yeah, like you said, like the CISSP, like the one Mr. Wally just posted now. The CISSP was written in that particular listing too, and some other, but I don't have CISSP, and I don't have, but I applied regardless. And I always get like, okay, let's go for interview. So for me, I knew is my husband always into that, like, oh, it's a filter. So don't always look at those certifications. So for me,
Yeah,
I know it's actually the knowledge that is key.
important.
And what you've been teaching. In fact, when you taught us the first time on the phishing and the safe links, I was like, just imagine if I had this information prior to when I went to that. Yeah, so for it's been it's been good. I won't lie to you. I won't lie to you. Maybe because I've done, and yeah, it's a good feedback on my own side, because yeah, sort of open, like, these things are not so hard, but in fact they're not hard. Let me use that word. They're not hard, but something you don't have a knowledge of, there is no way you can say, oh, this is what is done. So I never had the knowledge of it. I didn't even know it was more like configuring, creating rules and policies, and just ensuring those things have been. I didn't know that. So maybe if I'd gotten that information prior to that time, it would have been very, very, very helpful in that interview, because I would have said, yes, I've worked in SOC before and this is what we did. And maybe I would have gotten, I don't know, but yeah. So, but I know the CISSP requirement to, like, some of those certifications are not as key. Yeah, maybe it's a filter sometime, but they always, if you say you have the knowledge, yes. Then another thing, sorry if I'm digressing, is sometimes some of us will just write that we have maybe 2 or 3 years experience. So well, this one I got to find out that you need to put more years of experience, because now, like, cybersecurity is not really an entry level like we think. It's more like a mid role kind of thing. So I would say maybe like 5 years. So I've been doing that mistake too. But the last interview I did, that was what I said. I had over 10 years experience in IT. So, which was where I started from. So when I started, it was like, okay, let's listen to her. Because even on the CV, I only wrote 4 years in cybersecurity. But when I said I had over 10 years, it was like they were more interested. I could see it in their eyes because I was looking at them. It was an in-office interview. So I had to go there. So I had to, tell them 10 years, working in these different roles and everything. So for me, I would say the class has been helpful. I don't know about others, but for me, yes, it has really opened my eyes. Like now, if I'm reading, I understand more what I'm reading. Like I have a good insight. It's like that thing I'm reading is now like, how do you see it? Visual, like you can see it properly. It's not like you're imagining it in your head. It's more visual. That's it for me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Wale. Thank you, Ayokumi. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thanks. It's been helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other person? I think Ruth and Bami are muted at the point.
Yeah.
Can I go?
Ladies first.
Bami, go
Ruth, you
ahead.
can go ahead. Ruth, you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So for me, the feedback so I'm a visual and one of the if I read something,
Yeah.
I have to like see it to understand it.
Yeah.
So I always joke around that that I would be a good mechanic because I know you can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like about this class was that it's not like any other typical classes that you go through. You see what you're learning. For me, I see what I'm learning and I could understand it that way. So that is very, very helpful for me. So I'm very happy because I know now, because I'm not great at reading. I'm a journalist, which is weird, but I'm not great at it. Takes me a long time to get what I'm reading. But if I can hear what has been said to me and I can see it practice, I get it very quicker. So
Yeah.
that quicker rather. So I love all of this to say that I love your model of teaching. I appreciate it and I understand what I'm reading. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And you're actually a great teacher. So thank you for that as well. In terms of job, I've seen some jobs, but the experience part, which is what the last speaker spoke about, that is where I am. That's where I get stuck because you have to have experience. I don't have experience. I'm trying to transition from journalism to cybersecurity. So I think maybe where I would like more information is how to get an experience, in this before you go look for a job. I know there are internships and stuff like that, but what other ways can I develop myself, like create labs or things like that I can develop myself if I don't get internship or stuff like so that's where I am. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Which country are you? Nigeria?
Nigeria, yes.
Okay. I think in terms of getting experience, I know I've not shared what's it called? I know I've not shared more of an assignment in the last 2, 3 weeks, but which I plan to do today, and also hoping that we won't spend so much time again on XTR, I mean on KQL. So I'm hoping that the rest of the time that we have today will be spent looking at those assignments in our groups. What I recommend is for the assignment that I sent earlier and the ones that you will be getting today, that you spend time with them, understanding them, and also try to implement them on your own. It's from, I think, a lot personally for me. I also learn if I read, and I can open a lab and then be practicing what I am learning. So outside of, currently I'm into security consulting, but my special area of play, I do SOC and I do some other things as well. At least in my organization, more of anything internal security, I'm usually the go-to person even when they want to implement anything related to policies. And most time I do this outside for clients as well. But the major focus area for us is the identity and access management. That's where we have our strongest points, and we implement for different organization. And why am I talking about this? One of the new solutions that we just, I mean, the partnership that we just started working with, Beyond Trust. So I started reading on it and I understood what I was reading, but I felt like that knowing will not be complete until maybe I have a lab. I'm able to practice some of those things. I love running into troubles. I love running into issues in the lab, so that gives me the opportunity of challenging the things I'm reading, and also looking at finding a way to solve it, document those things. And those are the things that I think I can call my own special power, so to say, basically. So I agree with you with wanting to learn, but I think one good way of learning is by what's it called, doing some of the assignments. You see that a lot of the assignment that I give, I always put maybe like a narration that gives you more of a proper scenario where you can be asked to do things like that. So it's just to help in a way. And what I think I can also do, for anyone that shows evidence that, oh, I completed all of the lab, if you have maybe a job and you need some reference and you let me know, I might be able to provide that reference to you, but you give me more comfort in providing that reference if you can show me or you can demonstrate to me in a way that you did all of the assignments that has been given to your group, not as a group, as an individual. So I recommend that you keep those details. So if you contact me that you need reference and you demonstrate to me or show to me that, oh, you did the assignments, everything, I think I'll have comfort in your capability, and I might also be able to actually do referencing for you if you have job in that area. I mean, I just want to put that out there. But thanks, Ruth. But my first recommendation is the opportunity to get internship in Nigeria is limited. It is not impossible, but it is limited. And personally, I don't know any company in Nigeria that use a Defender. I mean, I was just working with one company, not in consulting, where I know many companies around UK and Europe. In Nigeria, I'm not sure. And places where I worked, I think they were using just some other solution like Carbon Black and Co. Yeah, so but I'll say just try as much as possible. But again, I always recommend people to belong to a group. If you belong to maybe like ISC squared in Nigeria, and you say that oh, you are interested in learning or even maybe unpaid internship, In unpaid internship, you can come to learn. You don't probably, maybe it's just 1 day or 2 days in a week. So that gives you the opportunity of learning without the responsibility or the pushback that we have to pay you. You understand that this is what you're looking for, and if you can get the knowledge, the money will always follow later. So it may not be about the money or getting paid in the interim. It's about you just getting the experience that you need. So I also recommend just joining groups, professional groups like that, and making it known in those settings that you need a job or you need opportunity to start somewhere. And who knows, a lot of people I know in ISC to Nigeria, for instance, a lot of people there, you have a lot of CISO there that are silent. So if you are fortunate to talk while one of them is listening, you really never know. And I also know that in that community, a lot of people are willing to help. I recall that there was a time when I was going to start implementing ISO myself. I needed the standard. I just put it there. I had more than 5 people that private chat me to give me the resources that I needed, even more than enough that I needed. So I think it's always good to join community like that, and when you need help, be open about it. A lot of people are willing to help.
Kumi, if I may just add to what you mentioned about joining a group. And the reason that is very important is because security, even volunteering or internship is a very sensitive role or opportunity that people will not put out there. It's because you won't you won't appreciate a stranger just coming into your environment. But if you belong to a professional group, and some of these group you don't need to pay, um, you don't even need to have certification. I think they give room to encourage people to become members. If you belong to that and try to put yourself forward, volunteer to join some things or do some things, and they know you or they've seen that you are here, they drop opportunities in their group chat or in their email, and from there, at least it filters putting it in the public space, and you may be able to get one or some of those kind of opportunities. So it's I will really recommend that you find as ISACA or ISC2 where you closest to your area. Sometimes they do remote meetings now, so you can be part of the group and don't just be part of it. Try to make yourself visible because you know what you're looking for. All right, that's just something to add to our comments point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bami, you can go ahead. Yeah, sorry for asking you to tell it. Bami?
Sorry, excuse me. If Bami is not going ahead, I think I can.
Okay, you can go
Can
ahead.
I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Maybe in the next 2 minutes.
All right. Okay.
So that we give maybe to other people chance to talk, and then we can move to the next thing.
Okay. All right. So for me, I will first of all want to use this opportunity to really appreciate Wale and Yokumi for setting up this. Sincerely, in fact, I will say it is an eye opener for me, right? Because what you are taking, this course, especially what you are taking, is something that we cannot see in totality of it now, what we are actually gaining until some other, I think, event unfolds where we are in our environment, for example, in my own company, I see that they are trying to, implement kind of like a end-to-end Microsoft product into the system, trying to ensure that no, they use everything, based on Microsoft, SharePoint, everything, their email, everything. They are just trying to, use one software, which is Microsoft. So I just got talking with the IT guy and I said, I can see that you guys are really improving your Microsoft stuff and the like. I say, yes, they are trying to, use Microsoft in terms of every other. They found that it's the go-to software that has everything in the entirety. Instead of having this software, bringing this one, bringing that one, it will probably be very hard for them to even manage and all that. So that was like, I was like, wow, this is so serious. Then I now went online to also, search in terms of jobs. I was, for my surprise, I saw Microsoft Defender. They just want somebody that is knowledgeable about Microsoft Defender. And when I looked at this, what is required of this guy, of whoever that is taking up, it's not as much as other than what we just been learning in the class here. I was like, wow. So for me, it's an eye opener, even though I still have to Canada, for me, I still have to learn a lot, because I'm trying to, as much as possible, to to follow, because there's a lot for me to learn. I'm just new in cybersecurity. But yeah, I really appreciate this. What's it called? The program. And what about for us in the UK? What can we do, and how can we, based on what Ruth said, what about for those in the UK that are trying to transition into cybersecurity, right, from another field entirely? How do we scale up, and how do we see opportunities, and then take opportunities like that, and what we need to do? Yeah.
I think the same response I gave to Ruth also apply to people in the UK. I think first is people are usually comfortable with people who are not just a starter, but have done something. So I would say start from the assessment, try to go over it yourself, think of scenario that you can try your hands on. I think that would help, first of all. Secondly is the power of community. I think that can be overemphasized. The power of community can be overemphasized. So try to join. And I think even in the UK, you have quite a number of groups, like we mentioned about ISC² Nigeria. The one I belong to in I belong to ISC² in Reading, and I belong to Isaka in Winchester. And if you enter that community, if people sees you and know you and get comfortable with you, if you actually have a demand and you ask that, oh, I'm just looking for this opportunity, they will give it to you. And one thing about around here is organizations always love to, more than it is in Nigeria, they love to have maybe like a CSR or internship opportunity. They can, if you make a request, they can even go to an extent of creating one for you if they don't have such a program. So you just need to be in the right community as much as possible. And a lot of time you don't need to make a monetary commitment to be in those community. It's good to be a paying member of those community. It helps a lot. But if you don't have the funds and you're looking for that help, you just need to appear there maybe like 2, 3, 4 times. When people are talking, ask question. And when people are talking, ask question. And after you've asked your questions, I mean, a lot of them will see you when you ask thoughtful questions. And if you come back to say, oh, you need this, they will be willing to help. I recall the first time I went to Reading, I was actually the one presenting that day. I've never gone there physically because it's like 2 hours from my house. Immediately, I mean, during the tea break, I stepped out and I saw someone from a university. I think the guy should be a Nigerian, doing his bachelor, and he approached me and said, oh, nice presentation, blah blah blah, that oh, this is his current situation. Before he finished, he's looking for opportunity to actually get internship. While I could not help, he got some people that say, oh, we can chat later at the time. So I think the power of community is the most important thing. And around here, if you talk to the right people, if those opportunities do not exist, they can create one for you. So I would say still try as much as possible to be in one of those communities. Anyone
Thanks.
else? Yeah, you're welcome.
Can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Yokumi and Mr. Wale and my fellow course mates. Let me start by appreciating your dedication and unwavering efforts. Because I could remember early this year, January to be precise, I came across SC-200 course and I took some time to explore through, but I could not further because it's all about reading. There is nothing like interaction like we've been having here. So for someone who have also took a course on Cyber Ops Associates designed by Cisco. In fact, I attended it in my hometown here in Ibadan physically. So I found this curriculum and the excellent tutor we have very, very how do I what's this? I don't know the right word to use for you, Mr. Yokumi, but all I can just say is that kudos and well done. You did exceptionally well because I found I go to LinkedIn to see job roles related to SOC, particularly requesting for Microsoft solutions. In fact, I don't think there is anything they are requesting for. Even at the intermediate level, the tools, the query language that I mean they were asking for that is not covered in this course. So I don't know how else to put the commendations to you. Then moving forward, I think more than ever, this course has helped me personally to be able to have confidence in my skills, both from the Cisco curriculum and Microsoft. In fact, I've not been able to post any of any lab test or any project on my LinkedIn. This course has made it the first time of me posting about 2 or 3 work that I've used this exercise to to project it. So it's there on my LinkedIn. I was able to create um detection rules, asset classification, and recently I posted on LinkedIn about what I was able to do in identity management and access control. So I think for me, it's exciting and I find it very very useful. So at this point now I am more energized to even put myself out there for maybe freelancing role because I have a very outstanding confidence in my skills in the recent days that always recent weeks that we've started this Microsoft course. So I thank you very, very, very much. You've done so well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Usman. Any last person? Any last person? Okay, in the absence of none, thanks to everyone who has spoken. I am happy and I believe Wale will be happy as well that the course is meeting your expectations and also creating a positive change. That is the idea. To help as many people who are interested in making entry into cybersecurity to gain the knowledge and give them the confidence that they need, making entry easier and accessible to everyone. And I think Wale has planned with some other follow-up courses as well for other people who may be interested. So yeah, thanks for that feedback. And for the things that we're doing right, I think we'll we'll reinforce and capitalize on them. But we also know that people can't be 100% perfect. So if there are other comments that you don't want to share publicly as well, I think you can always reach out to Wally or reach out to myself to provide those feedback if there is any. Thank you. So I think before we continue on what's it called, on KQL, I'll just be sharing the assignment that I'll be sharing with us shortly after this call. Please let me know when you can see the Word document I have on the screen.
Yes, we can see. If you can maybe make it yeah, thank you.
Okay. So basically you have assignments on data and information protection. You have assignments on Defender for endpoints. And so I think we'll give you some time. I'll quickly cover the rest of, I've said like on Thursday, that we're just going to focus on the what's it called, on the practical aspects of the remaining of the KQL. I'm not going to go into detail in speaking about them because I expect that we would have read that. So we give back some time, maybe 30 minutes or 45 minutes after later, just for individual groups to discuss the assignment and then plan on how to implement it. Currently, you have 3 groups. So sorry, just give me 1 minute. So currently, we have 3 groups. Sorry, just a moment. Okay. So currently we have 3 groups. So I think it would be good to, I'm going to add maybe the 3rd question after this class on the KQL and on KQL, and I'll let, I mean, you can discuss it in each of the groups. The expectation is that each group will attempt all of the questions, but you'll be given opportunity to present only one. So just to prepare your mind that within the next, what's it called, we'll cover the rest of the KKL learning, and then you'll be broken into your different groups so that you can discuss it. And also, if you have questions, you can always ask the questions that you can always ask for clarity where you don't understand as well. And I'll be available to provide clarity within your individual group. So that said, I'll go back to presenting. I'll go back to sharing my screen on what's it called? I'll go back to sharing my screen so that we can complete the rest of the KQL and come back to this. Okay, so we started KQL last week and we covered the first part. We started with this, but we didn't cover this. For a lot of the rules that we did the other time, for a lot of the KQL query we looked at last week, things like the search, things like the where, things like the order by, the extend, the project away, the projects and the different iterations of projects. It's just to return data. But in most instances, you don't want to return all of the data. You want to be able to filter the data and present it in a particular way. If you want to do a comparison, or you want to look at trends, maybe time trends of things. Let's say, for instance, there has been failed logon attempts, and you are wondering why there are many, many failed logon attempts, and someone told you that, oh, it's not a recent incident now, it's been happening. I think there used to be a malware called Config. There used to be a malware called Conficker, and when you have Conficker on the network, what always happen is you see a lot of failed logon attempts. So if you have many people having failed logon attempts, it could be because there is another issue on the network that the security team needs to take care of. So if, for instance, you want to see the progression of it, or maybe in the last 3 months, in the last 4 months, basically having it in form of a graph will be the best way to actually present that data. And if you just want to see the count, maybe you have someone that reported, or you have some individuals, or you want to see the different accounts that have been having failed logon, and then the number of counts. Basically, if you see maybe in the last 1 week, someone has a failed logon of maybe just one or two, that may not really be a concern. But if in cases where you see a legitimate user having a failed logon of like 100 or 300, for instance, that could be maybe a potential brute force attack against the person's system. Or maybe there is a recent change of password and some utility catch the password, or maybe a case of a malware trying the account, like I mentioned in the case of a configure. So you have different scenario, and having this data in a way that makes it easier for you as a security analyst to be able to look at them, make a reasonable inference, and take an action based on them is very possible. And like you see currently, it's difficult for me to begin to look into each of these events one by one, analyze and go into another. So you should have a way to be able to summarize data quickly and make an informed decision. So KQL just do not have control that allow you to return data. It also can help you with how to present data as well in a format that help you. So one of those method of presenting data is by summarize. And you can see summarize operator so is to do a summarize basically. I've said even though I'm a bit tempted to start going over the details, I don't want to go over the details. And basically, I mean, we have two query in one, and I've highlighted the first, and you can see that I just have it summarized. If you see when I call the security event and I summarize by activity, you can see that immediately you see the different events that happen. And I told you that when anybody do an action, when a system or a user take an action, it's always called an event. And some of those events may be just IT events, which are just informational. Some of them will be security related. Because we are looking currently at the security event table, so all of these are security events. You can see when someone is enumerating a security group, this can, if it is being done by an illegitimate user or process, this can actually be an information disclosure. So basically, yes, you see that there is an event 4798, which is an enumeration. You can see a key file operation, which can be, you see cryptography operation, you see basically. summarize, just quickly give me, because I'm summarizing by activity, the activity column, the individual elements of the activity column is what is returned in this summarize. If I say that, what is it called? If I summarize event where event ID is equal to 46, is there 4688 first of all? 4688. Okay, so it's asking to summarize events where I mean, so I'm just going to run these two first to actually see if there is event ID of 4688. Okay, event ID of 4688 exists, but now it's asking to summarize it by the number of processes, count of processes, and computer. So if I run this, I can see all of the processes, and I can see the computer, and I can see the count. So basically, this one is saying that look at this security event, filter all events by this event ID 466, and event ID 466, and then return the computer, return process name, return the computer it's on, and then the count of process. We're counting by process, but we're also picking the computer names. And basically, you can see the process, you can see the computer it's happening on, and then you can see the count. Basically saying that there are, what is it called? I mean, in all of these event table, you have this process, and then you have this number of, I mean, the count of the instances of those processes with, I mean, of that process within that event table. And I just want to, because I'm not familiar with what 4688 is, I just want to check and see what that event ID actually stand for. Okay, a new process has been created. So a lot of time when you are investigating malware, one of the things that you may have to do is actually, if a new process is started by the malware and you know what process it is, maybe through a TTP, the malware or the attacker's tactics, technique, and procedure, they might be able to use this to actually capture places where that activity has happened, or system where that activity has happened. This is one way the security team always audit their environment to establish attack timeline, and also the understanding places where the system has been, and also discovering the IOC, the indicator of compromise for the systems. So you have the summarize, which just summarize and gives you maybe information that you need. And you can use that with count to make a count of the system. There is also the possibility, I think this is almost the same thing as the last event. The only difference between this and this is the fact that you have another filter before the event. So you are interested in looking for, I still get confused whether this one is less than or greater than. You have these events where you are saying the time generated is greater than 1 hour ago. That means it happened within the last 1 hour. As we saw yesterday, the Microsoft Log Analytics we're using doesn't really have anything in the last, I mean, does not have a lot of logs fed into it in the last 1 day. So most often it might make sense just to say, to change this, turn it the other way around and run it. And you can see here that we have this count of account type computer by 365. Basically, you have an instance of this 365. Yep. So I think that is on it on summarize, and also because you've been using count, there are several variations of count that you can use. The expectation is that we would have gone through these functions, so I don't want to spend time on it. The AVG is just average if a condition, maximum if, minimum if, percentile. You have standard deviation if. I think some of these are statistical terms that I think some of us would already be familiar with. And also, there are instances where you may just be interested in the first instance when something happened, or the last time it happens. So the argmax function is used to return the most recent, almost current row entry of a particular instance. You have a data set, you filter it down, but when you say summarize by this, you are just asking it to return the topmost, what is it called? The topmost or the most recent data based on computer. And if you want the first instance as well, you can also use the argmin to do that. So if we run this log, hopefully we have something that catch it based on the filter, this SQL NA contour, so whatever, I'm running it, I'm not sure. Okay, we don't have any data, but I can actually just use a star here just to ensure that we get maybe a data. And if I run this, basically, sorry, stop. So you still couldn't find anything. I think previously we actually have a computer name that keeps coming. Okay. We're going to remember that VM's name. Oh,
I think the time range.
yeah, the time range has changed. Thank you. I'm not sure when the time range changed, if that was responsible for the reason why we didn't see the first one. So I'm just going to run this first to see if the, okay. This is retail VM01. Yeah, and you see, just by substituting it with the exact name and you return this basically, we see that the last time this event happened is this. And for the time range that we have selected, if we want to see the first time it's happened in that time range, if we change it to arg minimum. Okay, sorry, I think I still have this thing, and you run the same query. It should return only one, but it will be the first time. You see that this is 2502, and that's just to demonstrate how the argmin and then the arg maximum are different. We already know the implication of using pipe. Basically, it filters the output of the first command and make it an input into the next and an input into the next, basically. And if you look at these two statements, they have the same construct, but if you understand the way pipe works, they are also different. So what this one does, basically, it's saying, look at the security event table summarized by admin and time generated star. By time generated is anything by account, and you are filtering for 4624. And then these other statements say that look at the security events where 4624. The difference between these is, first of all, it's looking at this security event, it's summarizing it by time generated by account. So these may not return anything to you except the first time generated, security event table. The first item you are retrieving is related to this event. But if you look at this, you are saying that security events return all of these first and then run this. So basically, if I run this, I sense that I may not have any output except that the first element. What I'm even going to do is to run this first. Then we see the first element if the event ID is 462. If the event ID is not 462 and we run this, definitely, because we have summarized that we return just a single item with this add marks statement, we know that we're not supposed to see any results. And the implication of this is just to show you that the order in which you arrange your statements actually matters. I'm going to run this, and if you look at what's it called, the first item, what is the, okay, this is an event ID 4688. That is event ID 4688. This is event ID, what's the event ID? 4673. If I look at so you are summarizing by let me just see. Yeah, so this is event ID. Where's the event ID? 5061. So if I run all of these command, for instance, there was nothing returned because there's no event ID 4624. If I turn it around and I run this, basically, because my first filter is saying that just select everything that has event ID of 4626, and then you are running summarize, then this one is bound to actually return something to us, basically. So it's the sequence. It's just that I'm saying that I think on Thursday I use a scenario where someone maybe in an organization is trying to, where someone in an organization is trying to, a security department are trying to narrow down on a getaway vehicle used by armed robbers, and we're saying, oh, when they use a car, it's a Toyota Camry car and it's blue color. Now, the thing is, if I said that, okay, and they pass between maybe 3 o'clock and 3:05, if I now want to look for that car, I get to that junction and say that I want to see all cars that pass through this time, between this time, and I want to see the blue color first. And the first blue color car that comes, the thing is, a blue lorry may, okay, all cars but blue. A blue Picanto, maybe Kia Picanto may have passed, and if I use that, I'm going to get the wrong data, or maybe I'm not going to get the right data quickly. Unlike when I say that, okay, I'm looking for cars that passed, I'm interested in Toyota, and I want the Toyota of blue. So that's accurately describe what I'm looking for, rather than saying I'm looking at this area. I'm looking at all the cars. I want blue, and then I want Toyota. I may have a blue, but Toyota may be far down than if I use the blue before I use the type of the card. So it's always important to look at the structure. And also, in terms of summarize, there are so many arguments you can use it summarize. This is another argument that you can use where you actually make a list. You can make a set. And also the one that interests me most is actually the visualize operation. A lot of the things that we've done so far has been in terms of just having it in a log table. If you really want to present it in a time chart, for instance, you see the way it is. We're selecting security events, we're sorting by count, by bin. The bin what's it called statement say that it should round it off to the nearest to the round it up to the nearest whole number, basically. So that's what that bin actually stand for. And if you can see it in terms of the attack time, in terms of the time scale, if you are counting the number of what's it called events, sorry, summarize count by, if you are looking at the number of events generated per each day, you see in February it is 5,001. You see the number of events generated in 5th of April as 38,000. And obviously so, because we don't have many events coming into what's it called, like we have around February and March, you see that there is also a decline, basically. So if you need to have your output in visual representation, you can also use the render keyword to actually do that. And the only way to render is not just using the time charts. You can also use bar charts and the like. And you can see this custom query says that summarize the count by account. Summarize all of events based on accounts and render it in a bar chart. And you can see this one. If I run it, it should give me distinct accounts that are involved. And you can see the different accounts. And in terms of the number of counts of events relating to those accounts, you can also see it. So basically, there are several ways. And again, I've always said that before you start writing a query, the first thing is to think about exactly what you are trying to achieve from it before running your query. And as you can see, this is what we have. As you can see, this is what we this is what we have. I'll say we should do the what's it called, and I'll try to round up the rest in the next 7 minutes so that we have time to talk about the assignments. So the module assessment, in KKL, which operator would you use to visualize a time series of login attempts over the past month? If you want to, what's it called? If you want to visualize a time series of login attempts over the past month, which option will you select? Is it to summarize by count? Is it to render by time chart? Is it to filter by where? What exactly? Which one? You can use the chat, you can unmute and speak.
I think where time generated is would be appropriate.
Where time generator? No, I disagree.
To visualize is to render.
Yeah, to visualize is to render, exactly. So to visualize is to render, and if you are trying to see it over a time series, then time chart is the proper way to render it. And thanks for that. So you need to identify the most recent login event for each user in your organization. Which KQL function will provide these results? Is it the max? Is it the ag max or the admin? We spoke about that as well. I did mention that when you are interested in the recent activity or the most recent event, you use the agmax. When you are interested in the first instance, or maybe what's the opposite of most recent? basically maybe the first instance of an event, you use the arg min. So to determine the total number of login attempts per user, which KQL function would you use? I think that should be count. Yeah, thank you. Your organizations need to display the relationship between number of logons and failed logons by time of the day. Number of logons and failed logon by times of the day. Which KQL render type is most appropriate for this action? If you look at the dimension, number of logon, and then the number of failed logon by time of the day, you already see it as having 3 dimensions, right? So which KQL render visualization type is most appropriate for this task? It's obviously not a bar chart.
Time chart.
Sorry?
Time chart.
Yeah, it can be a time chart. Even me, I'm not sure if it's a time chart or a scatter chart. But I think it should be. I'm not very good with data analysis. Wally should know better. But I think yeah, because it's based on the time of the day, you can use a time chart actually for that, and then just have 2 different one for logon and then the other one for field logon. Yes, I think time chart is important. You need to calculate the average CPU utilization for each of your company server using KQL. The word is average CPU utilization. Which summarize function would you use? Is it the count, average, or count? I believe
I
the
should be average.
average. That was very clear. Your company wants to visualize the number of logins per day over the past month using KQL in Microsoft Sentinel. Which query will help achieve this goal? Your company wants to visualize the number of logins per day over the past month using KQL, which I think, first of all, if it's over a time series, you're already looking at the time chart. And then what's the dimension? You're comparing its time chart with 1 login per day. So which KQL do you think will give us the right answer?
Yeah, I think it is security
Third one.
event summarized by count. B, the second one.
The
I
second
mean,
one.
the second one, the security count summarized, security event summarized count by being time generated per day, where the thing count is
Yeah,
less
you
than
remember
30 days.
here what they are trying to test here. You remember we talked about the filter, the pipe, and how it is important to think in terms of what should go next. If I want to start, the first thing is just be thinking about what you want to achieve. I want to visualize the number of login per day over the past month. The past month is 30 days, right? I said security event, I select that table where time generated is more than, about 30, time generated is less than 30 days ago, which is fine. Then summarize count by bin. If I use I think you said B option, right? If I use the B option, I've already started losing data that I need. So obviously it's not going to be summarized count because it's going to give me a count and I will lose the time series. So I am still good with option A and B. And then the next one says render in time scale. If I go to render in time, render in time chart. If I go to render in time chart, already, I've lost a critical component of what I'm trying to do, which is for me to be number of logins, which is for me to actually get the, sorry, what am I saying? Time generated. Your company wants to visualize the number of logins per day over the past month in Microsoft Sentinel, which will help achieve the goal. Number of logins. Okay, so time generated more than 30 days ago. Summarize. So basically for me, it's render in no, not render. Render is the last one. So I'll summarize it by count by bin, and then I'll render in what's it called? I think my own best option is option A. So who disagree with me?
It looks like the most applicable answer there.
Yeah, Bami. Okay, Bami said it looks like B. Summarize count by bin. Time generated. Okay, let's analyze it before we actually see the answer. If I do where time generated is greater than 30, right? This one will give me, first of all, the event that happened in the last 30 days, which is what I'm trying to do. If I summarize it by count, summarize count by bin.
If we summarize before we generate the time, the result might be filtered. I mean, the outcome from what you said during your teaching just now. So if we summarize first before we put the time generated.
If you summarize already, you would have lost the time generated.
Yes.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you summarize before you use the time, I mean, if you summarize before you count, right? If you summarize by count, you would have lost the time generated. So if you are then, so for me, the first thing for me would probably be look at the security events, filter it down into the time scale that I am interested in, then summarize. So if I pick the event, I summarize it first. By summarizing it, you're already grouping it and you have already lost out the time generated. So if you are now doing the time generated again, I sense that you will not get anything. But let's see, I might be wrong, but let's see. So to effectively display the distribution of security alert type in KQL Sentinel, which to effectively display the distribution of security alert by alert type, by security alert by alert type, okay, using KQL, which render visualization type is appropriate?
That should be column chart.
Yeah, I agree to that. It should be column chart. You are tasked with identifying accounts that have logged in more than 10 times in the last hour. Which KQL would you use? Is it a D count, argmax, or count if?
Is a distinct one. The count.
Oh, I believe it should be count if. So you are doing a count, but you are interested in counting only if the number of logged in time is more than 10. So that should probably be count if. So to visualize the proportion of different types of security alerts in Microsoft Sentinel, I think the one we have context on is 6, so that we are careful to review. So to visualize the proportion of different type of security alerts in Microsoft Sentinel, which render operation visualization should you choose? Different types of security alerts in Sentinel, which type should you choose? I know if you want to represent types, a column chart, hold on. Different types of security alerts. Okay. For different type, column charts may work. I think pie charts may also work. And scatter charts, that will probably be if you want to see maybe the time of day where you have like it the most. So I'm not sure which one is the right one. It's a function of, I think it's either pie chart or column chart. So what do we think?
I think for the heat map, it might be column because the column will show the it will show the heat maps. I don't know if I'm right.
No, for
I'm
each
just
map, it will probably be scatter charts. But for
yes.
different types of security alerts,
Uh-huh.
that could be, if you are trying to look at percentage, I think pie chart is usually in percentage. So column chart should be the right one. But let's see. Okay, we scored 78. Let's see the one that are wrong. The organization needs to display the relationship between the number of logon and failed number of logged on and failed. Oh, how did I select time charts? Number of logged on and failed logon by time of the day. I think that's obviously by time of the day. I think that should have been a scatter chart. Average is correct. Okay, I think the one we had contention with, I am correct. And the reason why I believe I was sure I was correct was actually in the analysis. When I saw this, I know it's the filter. And I also know that if you summarize first, you will lose data about the time generated, and you are interested in a particular time range. So I'm going to select the time range first before I summarize, because I know summarize will make me lose and just give me the instances of each event, the instances of the time generated by the count. So I would have lost the time generated itself. That's why I'll filter by time generated first. And also for this one, I am wrong by saying it is but majorly these are what's it called? My strong point is not in data visualization. So for people that are into data analysis and co, I think they will always know the right method of presenting what kind of data, basically. So to visualize proportion of different types of security alert in Microsoft Sentinel. Proportion, yeah. If it's proportion, then it is pie chart. So I was saying something about pie charts usually good for percentage. So basically, we are visualizing by proportion. It is by, that should have been a pie chart. I was wrong. And this, I'm not sure. I believe it should have been number of logged on by failed logon and failed logon by time of the day. Failed logon by time, number of logged on and failed logon by time of the day. So that should have been scatter chart actually. You have two things that you want to display over time series. Okay, I think we can, okay, I believe we should be okay with the rest. I don't know if, what's it called? So the other one is about building, what's it called? Multi-table statements using KQL. You have the option of joining, and then you have the option of union. If you remember from set, basically, I said so if you remember the your set in mathematics, where we have sets, you have union of, I think there is union, I think there's intersection, where you have union of two when you have union of two sets, you are returning elements of those two sets. So if you want to do some analysis that span across maybe 2 or 3 tables, then you can always use a union. You see the union operator takes 2 or more tables and return the rows of all of them. Basically, if you run this first query, what it will do is return all of the events. All of the events is security events. Return all of the rows in security events as well as sign in logs. So these other ones also, the same thing says that this one is just the first thing, but this one also now says summarize everything by count and project, basically. And you can see this one returns all rows of security events and all rows of signing logs. Return one row and column, which is the count of all rows of security events and signing logs. And the third one, you have union of this, and then you are saying summarize by count and project by count, return all rows of security events and one row for signing logs. And that should also help you in differentiating again between count as a function and if you have a count underscore. And then the other, what's it called? Other option is, what's it called? The join. You have the option of the join left. You have the option of the full outer join. You have this is already looking like mathematics set, so I'll allow you to look at that. And the last item from here is working with data in Microsoft Sentinel using a KQL. I'll allow you to read over this, which is actually just how to extract data from unstructured string field. If you have some data structure, if you have some data that are unstructured and you want to extract data from it, basically some ways of regex, and how to parse. But I think we see this in, I'll say read it, but we'll also have time to go in details when we get into Sentinel itself. And I would like to stop here. While I think we can take maybe the next 7 minutes to rest and to take a break, and maybe after when we come back, we talk about the assessments.